He's sitting alone in a sterile white room, wearing a hospital gown. He punches himself in the face. He whispers to people who aren't there. To the untrained eye, he looks like a broken child. Someone who has completely lost their grip on reality. But that's the trick. You aren't watching a mental breakdown. You're watching a performance. You're watching a person who just committed an unspeakable act, sitting in a chair, trying to direct his own defensive strategy in real time. Most people try to hide their dark side. They want to stay in the shadows, but sometimes they realize the camera is rolling and they decide to put on a show. February 14th, 2018, Parkland, Florida. It's a date that's burned into American history. Marjorie Stoneman dug this high school. 17 dead, 17 injured, an entire community shattered in the span of 6 minutes. You know the shooter's name, Nikolas Cruz. You know the horror of what they did. But in the hours immediately following his arrest, the camera in the Broward Sheriff's Office captured a performance that is almost as disturbing as the crime itself. This video is a case study in manipulation. It's a glimpse into the mind of a killer who thinks he can outsmart the entire justice system. The video shows Cruz sitting alone in an interrogation room. He's wearing a hospital gown because he's just been treated for minor injuries after his arrest. If you didn't know who he was, he would look like a broken child. He's slight, unassuming, and he looks like he's in the middle of a psychotic break. Before the detective even enters the room, Cruz starts putting on a show. He stares at the floor. He mutters to himself. He starts whispering to the empty air. At one point, he raises his hand, makes a gun shape with his fingers, points it at his temple, and mimics the recoil of a gunshot. He punches himself in the face. He scratches at his arms. He's painting a picture of a young man tormented by voices, a man who has lost all grip on reality. When Detective John Curcio enters the room, Cruz turns the dial up. He keeps his head down. He refuses to make eye contact. He speaks in this soft, mumbled slur, forcing the detective to lean in close, and then introduces us to the demon. Cruz claims that a demonic voice has been speaking to him for years. He says the demon is the one who chose the music he listened to. Bad, depressing music, as he puts it. It claims the demon told him to buy the AR-15. The demon told him to call the Uber. The demon told him to burn, kill, and destroy. It's a terrifying story. A boy possessed, a mind shattered, but there's a problem. The camera sees everything, and what the camera captured wasn't a psychotic break. It was a cold, calculated attempt at malingering. Malingering is the clinical term for faking mental illness to get out of trouble, in this case, avoiding the death penalty. Forensic psychologists later tore it apart. They pointed out that true schizophrenia doesn't work like this. It doesn't turn on and off like a light switch depending on who is in the room. Watch closely. When Detective Curcio is there, Cruz is shaking, muttering, acting like the voices are screaming at him. But when the detective leaves the room to get water or paperwork, voices seem to take a break. Cruz sits up. He adjusts his gown. He looks around the room with a sense of awareness. A person in a psychotic fugue state just wouldn't have. He combs his hair with his fingers. He looks like a bored teenager waiting in the principal's office, and a man tormented by hellish demons. But the most chilling moment, the moment that reveals exactly what he is, happens when he thinks he's being clever. He looks directly into the camera lens. He knows he's being recorded. He knows the jury is going to watch this one day. He leans in and whispers, kill me. That wasn't a plea for death. It was a scene for his movie. He was directing his own defense strategy in real time. The backstory confirms it. Cruz had researched how to fake mental illness. He had Googled the symptoms of his schizophrenia. He had even recorded cell phone videos days before the shooting, bragging about how he would be the next school shooter and how we'll all know who I am. Those aren't the words of a man hearing demons. Those are the words of a narcissist who wants to be famous. In the end, this video didn't help him. It became evidence against him. The jury didn't see a sick boy. They saw a manipulator. The demon interrogation video is disturbing, not because we believe him, but because we don't. It documents the desperate, pathetic attempt of a mass murderer to avoid the consequences of his actions. He slaughtered 17 people, destroyed the lives of hundreds, and then sat in a chair and tried to blame it on an imaginary friend. The camera didn't blink. It captured the lies. It captured the pauses. And ultimately, it captured the reality that the only demon in that room was Nikolas Cruz himself.
Okay, so here's the deal. Got a 1983 quarter right here. You believe in fate? Here's the fate test. I'm gonna flip this 3 times, or the best out of 3 rather, and if it's heads, I'll do it here. If it's tails, supermarket.
If you have spent any time on the weird side of YouTube, like in 2016, you probably saw channels like Andrew Blaze. On the surface, it was the kind of thing you would scroll past without a second thought. Just a guy with dyed black hair, wearing cheap golf clothes, ranting to a webcam about how much he hated his job and how lonely he was. It was cringe-inducing, sure, but it seemed harmless. The guy behind the camera was Randy Stair, and what the internet didn't realize was that his obsession wasn't just a hobby, it was a religion, and it was slowly eating him alive. Randy was fixated on Danny Phantom, a Nickelodeon cartoon, but he didn't care about the hero. He was obsessed with a villain named Amber McLean, a ghost rock star. Now we have all seen people with intense fandoms, but this was different. Randy didn't just have a crush on Amber. He believed she was real. He had convinced himself that he was a mistake of biology. He believed he was actually a ghost trapped in a human body, a shell that he needed to shed so he could wake up in Amber's world. He spent thousands of hours building this fantasy. He created a fanfiction series called Amber's Ghost Squad, or EGS. He didn't just write it, he lived it. He animated the episodes himself. He voiced the characters. He built an entire mythology where he was the leader of a spectral army recruited by Amber. But as 2016 turned into 2017, the harmless fanfiction started to rot. The line between Andrew Blaze, the character, and Randy Stair, the human being, dissolved. The scripts for his cartoon stopped being stories and started becoming a manifesto. The digital footprint Randy left behind is massive. We're talking gigabytes of data, video logs, audio journals, and a 280-page written document. It's a roadmap of a mind unraveling in real time. In these documents, he writes with a chilling sort of clarity. He calls humans filth and cattle. He talks about how much he hates the world. But there is one specific sequence of videos, filmed in the weeks leading up to June 7, 2017, that really stands out. These are known as the basement tapes. In these tapes, we see Randy interacting with his weapons. He had bought 2 shotguns. He didn't treat them like firearms. He treated them like companions. He named them He caresses the trigger guard while speaking in a calm, almost romantic voice about how much he loves the cold steel. He wasn't screaming, he wasn't manic, he was terrifyingly lucid. He explains to his camera, his only friend, that he is ready to transition. He believed that by dying, he would wake up in the easiest world. But there was a catch. He believed he needed slaves for the afterlife. Randy didn't want to go alone. He worked the night shift at a Weis Market grocery store. He had been there for 7 years. To his coworkers, he was just a quiet guy who stocked shelves. For Randy, they were targets. In his journals, he outlined a plan he called Project Westboro, named after a fictional massacre in his cartoon series. He spent weeks scouring the store. He even filmed himself walking the aisles on his shift, secretly recording the layout, pointing out exactly where he would block the fire exits with wooden pallets so nobody could escape. He calculated the police response time. He decided he would spare no one. And yet, despite all his planning, Randy claimed he was conflicted. He claimed a part of him just wanted to die peacefully in his basement and leave the cattle alone. So, in a moment of true nihilism, he decided to let a piece of metal make the decision for him. This brings us to the most infamous video in his archive, the coin flip. It's rare to see the exact moment a mass shooting is decided upon. Usually that happens in the quiet dark of a killer's mind. But Randy Stair filmed it. He set up his camera on his desk. He held up a quarter. He explains the rules to his future audience. If the coin lands on heads, he will take his own life right there in his basement, alone. If it lands on tails, he will go to the Weis Market, lock the doors, and massacre his coworkers.
Okay, this is it. For all the marbles. Except we're playing for like much more than marbles here. I can't believe I'm having this come down to a coin flip. The flip of a coin. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3. It's gonna land behind the camera, just to the side. I can't see it. I see it in the grass, but I can't see it. Tails. That is a tails, folks. Tails. Which means there's going to be a loss of a human life besides my own. Possibly more than one.
The coin landed on tails. The look on Randy's face in the video isn't horror. It isn't regret. It looks like relief. The camera captured the exact second that 3 innocent people were sentenced to death by a coin toss. On the night of June 7, 2017, Randy Stair uploaded his final video, an animated depiction of what he was about to do. Then, he packed his shotguns, put on his Andrew Blaze shirt, and drove to work. He arrived for his shift. He waited until the store was closed. He barricaded the automatic doors just like he planned. He roamed the aisles. He fired 59 rounds. He murdered Terry Sterling, Victoria Brown, and Brian Hayes. He spared only one coworker, a woman who had been kind to him in the past, telling her to run. And then, in the deli section, surrounded by the carnage he had fantasized about for years, Randy Stair kept his promise to the coin. He turned the shotgun on himself. The Ember's Ghost Squad tapes are disturbing because they show the complete erosion of reality. Randy Stair didn't view his coworkers as humans with families and dreams. He viewed them as NPCs, non-player characters in a video game he was tired of playing. The video of the coin flip stands as a monument to the fragility of life. One flip, 1 second, and the fate of 4 families was sealed forever. If you walked onto the tarmac of CFB Trenton, the most important Air Force base in Canada, back in early 2010, you might have run into Colonel Russell Williams, and you would have been impressed. He wasn't just a soldier, he was a star. He was the commander of the base. He was responsible for thousands of personnel and millions of dollars in assets. He was a decorated pilot who had personally flown Queen Elizabeth and the Prime Minister of Canada. He was the definition of an officer and a gentleman, a pillar of the community, a loving husband. On February 7, 2010, a video camera recorded that legacy crumbling into dust. The footage comes from the Ottawa police station. It shows Colonel Williams sitting in a standard interrogation room. To a casual observer, he looks bored, maybe even a little annoyed. He sits with the confidence of a man who gives orders. He doesn't answer questions. He's been brought in regarding the disappearance of a young woman named Jessica Lloyd. Police had noticed tire tracks near her home that matched the unique tread of Williams' Nissan Pathfinder. But surely, the commander of CTB Trenton couldn't be involved in a kidnapping. It had to be a mistake, a coincidence. The commander drives down a lot of roads, right? What happens next is widely considered a masterclass in police interrogation. Detective Jim Smith enters the room. He's polite, he's soft-spoken. He offers the colonel a glass of water. He treats Williams with the deference his rank commands. For hours, Williams plays the part. He denies everything. He's articulate. He's calm. He thinks his rank is a shield. He thinks he's smarter than the cop sitting across from him. He treats the interview like a bureaucratic meeting, just a box to be checked before he goes back to work. But the backstory to this video is that underneath that uniform, Russell Williams was leading a double life so dark it defies comprehension. For years, the colonel had been breaking into homes in the sleepy towns of Tweed and Ottawa, hundreds of them. But he wasn't stealing money or jewelry. He was stealing women's lingerie. He wouldn't just take it. He would put it on. He would take intricate, high-quality photographs of himself in the victims' bedrooms, wearing their clothes, sometimes posing with their family portraits in the background. He cataloged these trophies on his computer at the military base. This fetish didn't stay harmless for long. Breaking and entering turned into sexual assault, and sexual assault turned into murder. By the time he was sitting in that chair, he had already killed Mary France Como, a flight attendant under his own command, and he had kidnapped and killed Jessica Lloyd. In the video, the turning point is subtle, but it hits with the force of a freight train. Detective Smith pivots. He stops asking if Williams was there and starts telling him how they know he was there. He brings up the tire tracks. Williams has an excuse. He drives that road often. He nods, unbothered. He brings up the roadside checks. Williams remains stoic. But then, Smith drops the hammer. He mentions the boot prints found in the snow outside Jessica's bedroom window. He says simply, "Russell, those are your boots. We're going to match them, and we are going to find Jessica's DNA in your tires." Watch the colonel's body language. The change happens in seconds. The commander evaporates. The arrogance vanishes. He slumps in his chair. His breathing changes. He looks at the floor, then at the wall. The realization hits him. It's over. The mask has fallen off. Most criminals, when they get caught, will scream. They'll cry. They'll ask for a lawyer. Russell Williams does none of those things. The most disturbing part of the video is his pragmatism. He switches from denial mode to mission mode. He realizes the logic of the situation. He's caught and decides to minimize the damage to his wife by cooperating. He looks at the detective and says, in a flat, emotionless voice, "I can show you where the body is."
And he sniffled in court as he told the judge, quote, "I have committed despicable crimes, Your Honor. In the process, betrayed my family, my friends, and colleagues on the Canadian Forces."
The ability to talk about these things with remorse is very uncommon. Psychopaths it's one of the key ingredients is not to have remorse.
He confesses to everything: the murders, the assaults, the break-ins. He details the and murder of innocent women with the same clinical, detached tone he might use to debrief a flight plan. There's no remorse. There's no horror in his voice. Just facts. He describes the pleading of his victims as if he were describing the weather. Each video is disturbing because of the duality. We are looking at a man who just days prior was saluting generals and managing millions of dollars in military assets. And yet, in the trunk of his car, parked at the base, was the evidence of a serial killer. The Russell Williams interrogation tape is a reminder that authority is often just a costume. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it wears a uniform, sits up straight, polishes its boots, and politely asks for a glass of water while hiding the location of a dead body. Thank you guys for sticking around. I hope you like this format. Please comment below what's your thoughts on the cases we covered today. Subscribe to Frigma for more. And remember, reality is the true nightmare.